Chapter 16. The Cold and Flu Season. Soon it was autumn, and the new season brought with it many changes. Crisp, chilly air, early morning frost, and bright, colorful leaves. But with the beauty of autumn came another change that wasn't quite so welcome: the cold and flu season. All through Jerome Horwitz Elementary School, people were getting sick. The hallways were filled with runny noses, sneezing mouths, and aching bodies. And unfortunately, one of those noses, mouths, and bodies belonged to Melvin Sneedly. Every time Melvin sneezed, thousands of tiny driblets shot out of his mouth, spattering the chalkboard with a thin layer of foamy, glistening, yellowish-green tapioca-like mucus. "Don't forget to cover your mouth, Melvin, dear," said Miserable. "Oh, sorry," said Melvin. "Sorry." He put his hand over his mouth and sneezed again. This time, the explosion of air from his stifled sneeze blew off large, wet globs of his body, which sprayed over the entire classroom. It was as if somebody set off a giant firecracker inside a bucket of green paint. The warm, smelly goo smacked into people's hair, splattered onto their clothes, and seemed to drench every square inch of the room. "On second thought, Melvin," said Miserable, "don't cover your mouth next time. Now, who wants a cookie?" Chapter 17. The Field Trip. The next day, for some strange reason, Miserable was out sick with a cold. Mr. Krupp was filling in as the substitute teacher, and as usual, he was very angry. "What the heck is going on in this room?" he yelled. "What's with all the raincoats and umbrellas?" Then Melvin sneezed. A few moments later, Mr. Krupp returned to the classroom with fresh clothes, a raincoat, and an umbrella. "All right, everybody," he shouted. "Today is Field Trip Day. Miss Anthrop and I are taking you all to Snotty Brothers Tissue Factory to see how blow rags are made." The word tissue made Melvin jump. "No!" he cried in a panic. "We don't like tissues." An eerie silence fell over the classroom. Everybody looked at Melvin in shock. "Did Melvin just say me no like tissues?" asked Harold. "Yeah," said George. "I've never heard him misuse an objective pronoun before. Who does he think he is? Frankenstein?" Chapter 18. Things Get Bad. In a few hours, the fourth graders were all packed into a hot, stinky factory listening to a boring speech about how trees are turned into tissues. Or something like that. Nobody was paying attention, really, except for Melvin Sneedly, who was terrified. His whole body shook and shimmered as the tour took them down the narrow walkways of the noisy industrial plant. Finally, the tour ended at the gift shop, where the plant manager, Mr. Snotty, had a surprise for everybody. "Behind this red curtain with black dots on it," said Mr. Snotty, "is a free gift for each of you." Mr. Snotty pulled back the curtain to reveal a pile of sample tissue packs. "Help yourselves," said Mr. Snotty. "There's enough for everybody." "No!" screamed Melvin. "We don't like tissues." "Oh, don't be silly," said Mr. Snotty. "Everybody loves tissues, and our tissues are extra absorbent. They really help to wipe out phlegm and mucus." Melvin again.
Tissues is bad magic!
Oh, nonsense, laughed Mr. Snotty. He tossed a couple of sample tissue packs at Melvin. Here you go, young man, he said. Enjoy. The tissue packs flipped through the air and stuck onto Melvin's back. Melvin screamed. His eyes began to glow green as he beat his chest in anger. Suddenly, Melvin's shoulders started to bubble. His chest expanded. The flexogromonic steel in Melvin's endoskeleton flexed and grew. His neck and head widened, and his body swelled to a height of 13 feet. Melvin grabbed the tissue packs in his massive, dripping fingers and flung them to the ground.
Don't make me angry!
Melvin warned.
You don't like me when I'm angry!
Oops, said Mr. Snotty. You dropped your tissue packs, young fellow. Here's some more for you. Mr. Snotty grabbed 2 giant handfuls of sample tissue packs and tossed them at Melvin. Chapter 19. Things Get Badder. Frantically, Melvin swatted at the 9 new tissue packs stuck to his upper torso as if they were a swarm of stinging bumblebees. He stomped his giant spiked feet and thrashed about violently as his hulking body doubled, then tripled in size. Melvin kicked and punched the walls of the gift shop as he let out a terrifying, blood-curdling cry. There's no need to cry, little man, said Mr. Snotty. Here, have some more tissues to dry those tears. He tossed several more sample tissue packs at Melvin. As you might have noticed by now, Mr. Snotty wasn't exactly the brightest bulb on the Hanukkah tree. What happened next could only be described as chaos. Once again, Melvin's massive body tripled in size. By now, Melvin was roaring and kicking and knocking over giant machines. Children screamed and ran. Mr. Snotty thought it might help matters if he could just give Melvin some more tissues. But before he could, a drop of mucus the size of a bathtub dripped from Melvin's massive nose and splashed down on Mr. Snotty, gluing him to the floor. Splat! George and Harold hid behind the red curtain with black dots on it as Melvin crashed through the roof of the factory. Ear-piercing roars bellowed out of his gigantic, oozing mouth as he kicked down the walls of the factory and tossed heavy machinery into the parking lot. Mr. Krupp and Miss Anthrope tried their best to get the situation under control, but they weren't having much luck.
Hey, Bub! Shouted Mr. Krupp. I've had just about enough of your shenanigans.
You're gonna be spending the afternoon in detention if you don't settle down, young man, shouted Miss Anthrope. Suddenly, Melvin reached down and grabbed Miss Anthrope in his massive metal fist. Help me! She screamed. Somebody save me!
Said Mr. Krupp nervously. I'll go get some help.
Mr. Krupp ran and hid with George and Harold behind the red curtain with black dots on it. Hey, I thought you were going to get some help, said Harold.
Well, not today, said Mr. Krupp.
You know, said George, there's only one person who can help Miss Anthrope now.
Who's that? Asked Mr. Krupp.
Chapter 20. Captain Underpants, that's who. As much as George and Harold hated to do it, they decided that it was time to send in Captain Underpants to save the day. George snapped his fingers. Snap! Suddenly, the terror and panic that Mr. Krupp had been experiencing completely vanished. A wild, silly grin spread across his face as he leaped to his feet and ripped off his outer clothing in toupee. Mr. Krupp's transformation into Captain Underpants was almost complete. The only thing he was missing was a cape.
Gee, he said, I sure wish I could find a red curtain with black dots on it.
Hey, said George as he pointed to the red curtain with black dots on it. Here's a red curtain with black dots on it.
What a remarkably unexpected coincidence, said Captain Underpants as he grabbed the latest in a series of convoluted plot devices and tied it around his neck. By this time, Melvin had stomped his way out of the factory and into the downtown area, leaving behind a twisted path of mucus-coated destruction. Captain Underpants flew into the air, following the trail of terror until he was face to face with the snot-spewing cyborg. I order you to stop, said Captain Underpants, in the name of all that is pre-shrunk and cottony.
Melvin did not listen. Captain Underpants had no choice but to fight the boogery behemoth, but first he needed to save Miss Anthrope. Quickly, our hero flew to Edith's side, grabbed her hands, and pulled firmly. The slimy phlegm that covered Melvin's gigantic fist was strong and gluey, but it was no match for wedgie power. Captain Underpants pulled and pulled until Miss Anthrope became completely dislodged with a noisy, wet, disgusting sound.
Note, here's a noisy, wet, disgusting sound to emphasize the intense drama of this gripping paragraph.
I'm free! Cried Miss Anthrope. Let's get the heck out of here! Suddenly, the Bionic Booger Boy reached down and grabbed Captain Underpants by the cape. The monster held on tightly with his gigantic, gooey robotic fingers.
Back!
Cried Captain Underpants.
He's got my cape! He's got my cape!
Well, just untie it! Screamed Miss Anthrope. Let's go! Let's go!
But I can't fight crime without my cape!
Cried Captain Underpants. Forget your stupid cape! Edith screamed. Just save me, you idiot!